Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us for the Delivering Local Assistance Program application workshop. Today we'll be discussing eligible projects, eligible applicants, and how the funding will be allocated for this new program that was authorized as a result of the 2019 legislative session in House Bill 652. This program, the authorization is described in section 1 through 8 of that bill. House Bill 652 is a state-funded program that authorizes funds to be awarded to local governments to complete infrastructure projects. The Department of Commerce, who's hosting this webinar today, will be administering the DLA program through our division staff. We receive applications until September 30th, so the next 25 days now. Will be important to put application materials together and submit those applications, and we will discuss how those applications should be submitted as we walk through the slides today. So today we're going to start with a discussion of the funding available. As I mentioned, the total, it was authorized in House Bill 652. The total authorization is $21.5 million. That funding will be split basically in half between local government applicants and eligible school district applicants. At least 10.75 will be available for school district applicants. It could be a larger amount depending on the applications received for the program. So we will walk right into the discussion of who is eligible to apply for this program. And I guess before I go too far, I will say, take a little sidebar and say, one, if you're going to submit questions throughout the presentation, please do so via the question box and type in your questions, and we will respond to those if we can. If it is a general type question, we will take a break during the middle of the presentation and respond to some of those general questions. If it is a specific proposal question related to what you have going on in your community, you can submit it to us today, but if it's really, really specific, I would recommend you submit that question to our general email, which is doccdd@mt.gov. And we will respond to specific project questions that way in a more one-on-one fashion for you. The slides to this webinar are also posted on our website at the location you registered for the website, or for the webinar, excuse me, at com.dev, .mt.gov, com.dev.mt.gov. And the webinar slideshow will be available in the upcoming weeks on the website at that location as well, if you need to go back and review the information presented today. So we'll start the discussion with who is eligible to apply and who we will be working, the Community Development Division staff will be working to carry out projects that impact your local community that fit within the parameters of this program. Eligible applicants, as I mentioned, we've had schools and local governments, so we'll talk about local governments first. Any one of the listed types of local government, if your entity fits under one of those categories, you would be an eligible applicant if you also have an eligible project, which we'll discuss in a minute. So cities, towns, counties, consolidated tribal governments, water, sewer, solid waste districts, school districts, and then as an authority defined in 75 6-304. All applicants who are eligible must be able to demonstrate impacts by natural resource development in the community. That could be demonstrated by growth or decline associated with 4 specific categories: coal, oil, gas, or timber development within the county where the local government is located. There must be some degree of recorded production taxes in one of those 4 impacted areas. Statistics are available with the Montana Department of Revenue, Montana Department of Natural Resources and Conservation, and other federal state agencies. So we've been receiving a lot of questions about what it means to demonstrate the impact. Most of the responses as we walk through the rest of the guidelines will be a combination of statistical evidence plus narrative discussion of how those impacts are affecting you. I'm getting a little ahead of myself. So there's my slide on the 4 types of impact-related growth or decline that you need to look at, and also where you can find available production records. And like I said, please look into other state and local opportunities that may have statistics on how the impacts of natural resource development are definitely affecting your community or local government. So now we'll talk about eligible project types. Project types that are eligible are drinking water, wastewater, sanitary sewer or storm sewer, solid waste disposal, separation systems, bridges, facilities for government administration, and public safety. Public safety projects will be related to law enforcement, fire protection, emergency services, or school district projects. School district projects will be related to life safety or security, and major repairs or deferred maintenance or improvements or enhancements. So within your area, if you're able to demonstrate natural resource impacts, and if you fit into one of these eligible project types, certainly consider applying to the program for funding. Applicants, a single applicant may apply for multiple projects. However, the projects must be standalone. If you have a project that has already begun, has already been engineered, has gone to bid, and has already commenced construction activities, we will accept the application for that project dating back to January 1, 2019, so construction activities did not have commenced prior to January 1, 2019. However, the application will be ranked on how it meets the eligibility, the criteria, the need, and the priorities against other applicants, not based on the fact that it's already shovel-ready and, well, more than shovel-ready and halfway completed. There are also time frames of which costs may be eligible to be incurred before an application to the program. And for more information on what types of costs, if you have a project that's already underway, would be potentially eligible for direct reimbursement through this program. This program will be governed by the Treasure State Endowment Program Manual for Administration completion of the project. So you will find more information on previously incurred costs within that manual. For those of you that may be unfamiliar with the Treasure State Endowment Program, the projects that are administered under that program, which is also a state-funded program, is infrastructure projects, water, wastewater, storm sewer, solid waste, bridges. So the link between the two programs here and why we were able to pull over administering the project similarly to PSEP is because they're very similar in project type and that the processes are already lined out, where the delivering local assistance program from the authorization date at the end of the session until now in application date at the end of September was a short time frame, so we borrowed administrative policies and processes from a sister program and similar type projects. So at this point, we are going to take just a short break. We are getting some general questions submitted through our chat box. And so we are going to respond to those general questions we have received before we proceed with discussing how the eligibility for funding will work and what the maximum and several of the funding criteria for the program are. So we will read those questions and respond to those questions that we have in the queue right now.
So the first question that we've received here is, what is the email address for the program? So I wanted to respond to that verbally. I've also responded to that in a mass chat. So the email address to contact the Community Development Division related to the Delivering Local Assistance Program or related to any programs in our division is doccbd@mt.gov. Second question we received is, will there be a link for today's webinar? Currently, if you go to our website at comdev.mt.gov/MET/events, you can click on the registration link to the webinar. You can also view the PDF of the slides that we are currently walking through. Following the webinar, we will upload this recorded webinar to our website. The next question is, do schools have to apply through a local government, or can schools apply directly?
Schools are an eligible applicant as a school district. So we will receive school district applications directly from the district, and then we will receive a group of local government applications.
Next question, would impacts from hard rock mining qualify?
As defined in the bill and the authorizing legislation, only the 4 identified types of coal, oil, gas, and timber natural resource impacts are eligible under this program.
Next question. The impact related to growth or decline in the 4 areas is for local government applicants only, correct? Not school applicants.
That is not correct. All applicants must demonstrate how they are impacted by natural resource development in one of those 4 areas of coal, oil, gas, or timber.
Next question. Does the natural resource impact have to directly impact the project or just the community?
Oh, okay. Maybe I'll take that. This is Byram. To respond to that, the guidelines specifically talk about the county. So we would say to make your best case in terms of the impact of that natural resource upon the county. And then, of course, apply that to your specific situation.
And part of the reason that the guidelines refer to the county, you may be able to drill down into a smaller city or town, but if you look at the Department of Revenue or DNRC Natural Resources and Conservation Statistics, you will see that that data is available by county. And so where I said earlier, there may be additional ways to demonstrate that impact, but at the highest level, you will find that data available at the county level and may be able to drill down further depending on your scenario.
Next question. For a school district project, is it one of 3 choices, or does it have to be specifically related to life safety or security?
It is one of 3 choices. A project may be related to life safety or security. A project may be for major repairs or deferred maintenance, or a project may be for major improvements or enhancements to a facility. It could be any of those 3 types of projects.
Next question. Is this a match or an in-kind grant?
Match and in-kind, are not required, but encouraged for this grant.
Next question. It is clear that the Treasure State Endowment Program Manual is used for grant administration for infrastructure projects. Will it also be used for school district projects?
Yes, it will. The Treasure State Endowment Program Manual applies to all projects that will be awarded through this program.
Next question. Can you state again the reimbursement process?
Refer to the manual. We will talk about, today we're really talking about application, who's eligible, how do we get an application, we're coming up against the deadline, the reimbursement process, documentation required, time frames that reimbursements will occur in, is all outlined within the TCEP manual.
Next question. Does the application need board approval by September 30th?
A completed application will have a certification on it. If in fact a school board, if we miss a school board meeting, please submit your application prior to September 30th, identifying that the school board meeting, what I'm just guessing, maybe October 10th, and that the signed certification will follow the application when the school board, if that's the scenario, which I believe will be the most likely scenario we have, needs to be signed at that time. But please provide information of when a certified Section 1 of the application will be submitted if you are unable to have a certification prior to September 30th.
Next question. Do we need to include the 10-year taxable value data in a separate document? And will that count towards the word count?
That will not count towards the word count. The data is available through Department of Revenue or through Department of Natural Resources, and it has now been posted on the Delivering Local Assistance webpage. So if you go right to our webpage where the guidelines are and look at eligible projects, I believe the left-hand navigation says, that data is available at the bottom of the discussion of applicants, projects, and funding.
Next question. In section 1 of the application, what does leverage mean?
Leverage would be if, in fact, your project is demonstrating match. As I said, it is not a requirement, but we frequently see projects that have multiple funding sources. So if, in fact, your project does have leverage, that would be any other funding sources in the project.
Next question. Will indirect impacts from timber and coal, such as reduced development impacting a school's reduced enrollment and thus the budget, qualify?
If it is a reduced impact, the guidelines have discussion of caused by growth or decline. So if a school enrollment is causing a decline due to timber harvest, that would certainly be eligible.
Next question. What was the website that you just mentioned to review? So we will refer you to our Community Development Division website, our main page. That's COM, as in Mary, DEV at mt.gov. And you can click at the top row of menus, and you can click on Delivering Local Assistance. That's information about eligibility and how to administer and how to apply for the program. Also on the comdev.mt.gov website, you can scroll over and click on Meetings, Events, and Training, and click on the information about this webinar and the PDF of those slides. Also, under Programs and Boards, if you click on Treasure State Endowment Program, or TSEP, in the list of programs, you can look at the Grant Administration Manual as referred to how to administer the Delivering Local Assistance program. The other portion of that question was also a question about the website and that applicants can look at for data on natural resources in specific counties.
Yes, the data sets that we were provided by Department of Revenue and actually University of Montana for timber harvest data is available if you go to the Delivering Local Assistance page. Click on the left navigation, it says Eligible Projects, Applicants, Eligible Applicants, and scroll to the bottom of that page, the last section of the Eligible Applicants page in Delivering Local Assistance. Eligibility page does have a link to the data provided to the department by Department of Revenue and University of Montana Better Business Bureau for timber and coal, oil, and gas resources, and that data is presented by county.
Next question. Can the project meet more than one of the 3 eligibility requirements?
Yes.
Next question I will state, but I believe it was just answered previously. The question was, where specifically is the information found on the Department of Revenue website?
This is Gus Byram. Our advice is to just simply call the Montana Department of Revenue at 444-6900 and tell them you're working on a Delivering Local Assistance application. They will assist you.
Next question. Are fire districts eligible to apply directly, or does the county need to apply on their behalf? If the county applies on their behalf, does the funding go through the county as a pass-through or directly to the fire district?
That would be the second scenario. So a fire district would need to work with an eligible applicant as described in the guidelines, in this case, which would typically be a county. And then the grant is awarded to the county and would pass down to the fire district.
Next question. If one school district can prove a natural resource impact that will apply to all school applications in the county, or are you going to require that each application prove that impact?
Each application needs to, to their best ability, prove how they are impacted, as it is unlikely we will see a county-wide school application. So each school should demonstrate their own impact, to say it another way, even if the data referred to is the same in multiple cases.
Next question, will an increase in student enrollment give cause for applying for grant money?
if you can tie it back to natural resource development, growth, or decline.
Next question, will PILT and or rural schools funding be relevant to decline in revenue narrative?
Any additional information or discussion you can provide may make your application more competitive. However, PILT and school taxes are not identified in the guidelines, but it may help you build your case of how large the impacts are to your area.
If we receive the grant, when can we expect to receive the funds? And is this a one-time grant, or does it last more than 1 year?
I'll answer the second part of that first. This is a biennial authorization. So that means that the project, and as we walk through some of the time frames that we haven't got to yet, the funds will be secured under contract by September 2020. And the first part of the question,
if we receive the grant, when can we expect to receive the funds?
So this program is similarly to Treasure State Endowment, a reimbursement-based program. So you will not receive the funds all in one big fell swoop. As outlined in the Treasure State Endowment or TSEP manual, it is a reimbursement-based program. When project activities have been completed, initially paid by the local government, then you will submit a reimbursement request to the program. And at that time, the actual dollars may be received.
Next question. Related to project readiness and implementation, 1C, what type of documentation is expected to demonstrate, quote, compliance with auditing and reporting requirements have been met, such as we typically just receive a bill or an email from an auditor as opposed to a report? Once again, this is related to the project readiness and implementation section of the application 1C.
Local government can verify compliance with auditing and reporting requirements through Department of Administration Local Government Services. That information is publicly available. Anyone can look at those details at any time. The department may also have a conversation with Department of Administration Local Government Services. For schools, I don't know that answer today. We will work with our counterparts at OPI to review what kind of compliance schools may need to demonstrate.
Next question, what is the phone number? So the phone number to contact the Community Development Division is 406-841-2770. Next question. The Department of Revenue spans only 10 years. Would you suggest we use earlier data when impactful?
No. I would suggest using the 10 years that is available on our website. The Department of Revenue may provide additional years going back earlier, but to put all applicants on fair and equal footing, 10 years will be reviewed at the department after applications are received.
Next question, does the application require a completed SHPO report, SHPO?
That is State Historic Preservation Office, and SHPO is not a requirement of the application. The second part of that, which we have not yet gotten to, is that compliance with the Montana Environmental Policy Act will be required, and SHPO consultation may be required depending on your project components. when you are completing the MEPA, or in Montana Environmental Policy Act review.
Where does House Bill 652 originate from? Is it federal, that it will need to be reported on our federal schedule?
House Bill 652 was an authorization for a new funding program out of the 2019 legislative session, and these are state dollars.
C, financial impact note. And that might be referring to the financial impact note in the application. The question is, does that mean that we, Department of Commerce, will do this so we do not have to?
Yes. As I mentioned, the Department of Administration, Local Government Services, does have a public portal available where any entity may look at the results of their current audit. So you do not need to additionally include your most recent audit with your application. We have the ability to view that document on our own.
Next question, last question at this time. We'll go back to the slides after this question. Well, we'll have two questions answered, and then we'll go back to the slides. So if you are a large project in progress, how do you pay for it? If you are a small district, you might have the funds available.
We run into that frequently, and as the project is being carried out, we will coordinate with you to reimburse the funds in the shortest time frame available.
Last question, we will go back to the slides. We will come back to questions at the end of the presentation, is what is DEQ? DEQ stands for Department of Environmental Quality, and that refers to the Montana Department of Environmental Quality.
Okay, so we're going to walk back to the remainder of the slides, and then we will take additional questions when we get through the rest of the slides and discussion on eligible funding, match requirements, and environmental review and application submission. So eligible funding in the Delivering Local Assistance Program per project may not exceed a request for over $750,000. It is per project is limited to that. The maximum amount in a county may not exceed 1.5 million. So each county, to say that in a different way, will not be awarded more than amounts totaling over 1.5. For local government applications with overlapping boundaries, and by that I mean if a county is going to submit multiple applications, or a city is going to submit multiple applications within their boundaries, you need to present in your application materials which of the 2 or 3 or 4, however many applications you may be presenting, is the highest local priority. And that will be decided at the local level which one is the most important. We need to have that information presented to us in the application material. Obviously, school districts fall within city and town boundaries. Cities and towns do not need to coordinate with the school only within their own city multiple applications. The school will come in on just a separate schools list. Local governments will be in a local government competitive list. So for applicants who also apply to Treasure State Endowment, as we mentioned, that is the program that will govern the administration of the projects in DLA as well. If an applicant in that pool is also applying to DLA, however, they did not receive approval for funding, they may only apply for the amount originally applied for in TSEP. If you are unsure because of the way the TSEP funding was authorized and the TSEP portion of House Bill 652 bonding funds were authorized, you may request a higher amount than in the original TSEP application, but depending on where the funding ends up on the bonding side, we reserve the right to reduce your request to match the first bullet on this slide. Please contact us further if you have more questions, because these two bullets have been confusing for several potential applicants, so we're happy to discuss this slide further if need be. For projects that submitted to TSEP and have had substantial changes since that point in time, potentially a change of scope, major changes in project area, please submit a new full application to the DLA program. If your project that was submitted to TSEP does not have substantial changes, you need only complete a reduced section or reduced amount of the delivering local assistance application. If you do not have substantial changes, please complete section 1 and the questions related to natural resource development impacts in section 2. So how and when do you need to submit applications? In the governing legislation for this program, we must receive applications no later than September 30th, either postmarked or delivered by 5 p.m. to the department. As a follow-up to your application submission presented, we may contact you to request any additional details that present a better picture of the project if necessary. However, please present the best project description, need, and priority as it fits within the limitations in the guidelines. Also, in section 1 of the grant application, for section 1, number 8, we say description of infrastructure problem and proposed solution or activity. The two components of that question, unlike the remainder of the application, do not have a word limit. However, please be brief and concise in those descriptions, but still describe your project components. Please provide 1 hard copy and 1 electronic copy. Hard copy meaning paper, either mailed, hand-delivered, whatever works best for your entity. 1 electronic copy, emailed, to either one of those locations. For those of you unfamiliar with transfer.mp.gov, that is a free and secure service that we use for document transmission. You create an account, you upload a document, we receive a message that a document has been sent, and we download that document. So works very simply, and those documents, if you send it through transfer.nc.gov for your application, should be sent to the docCDD@nc.gov address. If your file size is smaller than 8 megabytes, you may send an email directly to docCDD@nc.gov. For your hard copies, you may mail them to the address listed below for the department, or you may provide those in hand if you're able to deliver them directly to the department in person. The Department of Commerce address is Department of Commerce, Community Development Division, either 301 South Park or the P.O. Box 200523, Helena 59620-0523. So that's how to submit your applications. Those are your options. Again, one hard copy, one electronic copy in any of those methods to the department by September 30th, close of business. After September 30th, Commerce staff will review the applications received and create a prioritized list based on the criteria as presented in the application. As listed in the guidelines and the authorizing authority for this program, those projects that demonstrate higher impacts of coal, oil, gas, and timber will be given a higher consideration. Startup conditions, I'm not going to go into all of those specifically today. Those are defined in House Bill 652 and further outlined in the Treasury State Endowment Administrative Manual, which I would encourage you all to review. So those funding will become available once those conditions have been met, and at that time the applicant will be contracted with the department, and the project may proceed. From the time awards are announced, you have until September 30th, 2020. So 1 year to meet the startup conditions for your project. If startup conditions are not met for a project that is awarded through DLA initially, funds may be reallocated to another project. So as we've mentioned several times, the CSEP Grant Administration Manual applies. Please review that document on the Community Development website under Treasury State Endowment Program. Technical or planning documents, your project may have completed some feasibility studies to determine what the actual needs of the project are. Those may be submitted with the application or requested by staff if we are looking for additional clarity. For the reimbursement of creation of those documents, 5% of the DLA requests and potentially awards may be applied to the creation of that document. Mentioned matching funds earlier in response to a question as far as matching and leveraging. They are not a requirement of the program. However, they are encouraged depending on what your project's completed budget may look like. Montana Environmental Policy Act compliance will need to be achieved for all projects. There is additional information on that, how to complete that process, both on the Legislative Services website for the state of Montana and additional information under the TSEP Grant Administration Guidelines under that program information of what the components are to be compliant with that act and the processes a project will have to walk through. So at this time, we will take more questions, and we will leave this slide up so you can certainly take notes on how to find links or how to get a hold of us through all the information that has been presented today.
We have a few questions in the question box that we will walk through. Sanders County is huge. Are school districts included in the county amount?
Right. There is a 1.5 million cap for each county that will be awarded. So school districts and local governments will fall under that cap.
Next question, I believe is answered by the response that was just given, but we will ask it just to confirm. Is the $1.5 million per county inclusive of school projects?
Yes.
Next question. Due to the amount of funding available, would you recommend an applicant request a smaller amount than the maximum $750,000? Or is there a possibility that a request of $750,000 could be awarded a lesser amount based on funding available and criteria?
I would recommend requesting an amount that is appropriate for your project component.
Next question. Can pictures be included in the application to assist in describing the infrastructure issue?
Yes, narrative responses should be limited to 500 words as defined in the question. Supporting documentation will be accepted.
Next question. Should we include a PER or PAR with the application?
If preliminary engineering or preliminary architectural staff have been completed, you may present that information to further describe project components.
Next question, just to clarify on environmental requirements, they need to be completed before contracting, but not necessarily for the application.
That is correct. I'm just going to circle back on why that question is likely being asked. The Delivering Local Assistance Program will accept completion of environmental review after application, contrary to how Treasure State Endowment Program applications are submitted, with which environmental review must be completed prior to application. So yes, delivering local assistance, environmental review may be completed after application.
Next question, when do you expect to announce awards?
It is the department's goal to announce awards later this fall.
Next question, while the maximum request amount is $750,000, is it helpful to MDOC or Commerce and possibly advantageous to the applicant to, 1, evidence and request the need for $750,000, however, explain exactly what activities of the project could be accomplished with an award of a lesser amount, like $500,000?
It will totally depend on your project components and what amount, the request amount should depend on your project components and what dollar amount will complete those. If you request $750,000, however, carry out project activities if awarded for $500,000, you will only receive $500,000.
Next question, how does the applicant determine which TSEP manual applies, 2017, 2019, or 2020?
The most recent.
Next question, if there is an imminent or urgent public health and safety issue comes from an ongoing deferred maintenance project, will it get the max number of points or medium number of points?
Without knowing what the project components are, I cannot identify what score that project would receive.
Next question, does the county funding limit of $1.5 million include school projects or just the general government projects?
It includes a county cap of 1.5, so schools and local government.
Can the final design / bid package be included in the delivering local assistance request outside technical planning documents, or does that need to stay within the 5% for technical / planning documents? I'm going to repeat the question.
Yeah.
Can final design / bid package be included in the DLA request outside of technical planning documents, or does that need to stay within the 5% for technical / planning documents?
Well, I guess I'm not 100% clear on the question. If you're asking if you can submit the bid documents and design documents, or if you're asking if they will be reimbursable within that cap.
Please reach out to us if we have not fully addressed your question, and we can definitely walk through how to best answer that question so we get back to you. Thank you. Next question, what is the award notification date?
Is the goal of the department to make awards later this fall.
We got a follow-up from the question just asked, and so the follow-up to that question, does 95% of the asks need to be construction and grant administration, or can final design and bidding fall in their request? We can also do some follow-up.
Right. So final design would typically, in similar cases, not fall under planning and technical review.
We definitely recommend, if you want to walk through the specifics of your project and your budget that you're proposing, please feel free to give the department a call.
It's hard to know what your budget looks like.
Next question, if the award is not the maximum allocation requested, does the school have to accept the award? I'm going to repeat the question. If the award is not the maximum allocation requested, does the school have to accept the award?
No. If any entity is offered an award and something in their local organization has changed, they may always return an award to the department.
How can one find out if any other entities in the county are applying and how much they have requested?
That is a coordination effort at a local level.
Next question, because of the limited amount of funding, will funds be awarded to the most eligible few projects at their fully requested amount, or will the awards be spread out and awarded at amounts less than what was requested?
Awards will be made based on how project proposals meet the guidelines, the criteria in the guidelines, and to demonstrate the highest natural resource development impact. And that appears to be all of the questions we have received for today. We would like to thank everyone for their time. Again, please visit our website or email us directly if you have specific project components at the specific project questions at the locations that are up available for you to see on the screen right now. We have been receiving a lot of calls and questions, and we are happy to respond to you and help you understand how to best present your case for your projects to be successful in this program. One more follow-up question.
If a county intends to apply for one project, but several cities within the county are also applying for their own projects, does the county need to rank all those applications or just the county project?
Just the county project. Okay. Well, again, we'd like to thank everyone for their time. Please contact us at the information located on your screen. And we wish you all a great week, great weekend.